cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. One of those many things you don't want to hear when you're on the inside, when you're in prison, it's coming through that door, that's sliding up under that door in a wheeler, a kite, whatever you want to call it, is that you got to get rid of your cellie. Now, I don't know if anybody else has done a piece on this right here. I don't get a lot of time to maneuver around and move around on YouTube and watch other people's vids very often. Sometimes I'll glance through some things, but I just felt that I should share this one with you. My personal experience with this very thing. Getting the kite. You read it. It says your cellie's all bad for whatever reason, and a lot of times it's not going to go into detail on why. You just need to trust the process and trust the fact that whoever is sending you this info, it's obviously coming from a llavero and it's obviously legit. So you don't question it. This is a part of prison life that I can't stress enough. When you in them cars, unless, you trying to run that lone wolf thing, and like I said, that shit don't fly in Cali. That shit don't fly in a lot of federal facilities. Some it does, not many. Unless you on like a level 1 or a level 2 or something like that, and even in those places it don't fly. So you're running with a car. You've already signed up for that. The minute you have taken anything out of that kitty, that's your ass. That's your life. That is your signing up and enlisting in all of the bullshit and everything that comes your way. And yes, you may not be asked to go on a crash dummy mission, unless, of course, you're a crash dummy yourself. Or you got a shot caller that don't got the balls to do it himself. Or something to that equivalent. But there's certain situations that just fall into your lap, whether you wanted them or not. And you're powerless over them. You have no control. And you're put on the spot. What do you do in this situation? So you're sitting in reception, as I was sitting in reception. Sitting there waiting and wondering where you're going to end up. You're going through the whole classification process. Right? You get a new cellie that comes in. Your last cellie just left, and you're wondering what kind of a guy you're going to get. Well, this dude shows up at the door slides open, he's there with his bedroll and everything in his hand. Drops that shit on his bunk and introduces himself. I'm such and such, mucho gusto, from fucking various such and such, whatever. He's there a couple of days. You get released, you go out to the little day room and eat your chow. You go back in. Like I said, when you in reception like that, you really don't have your paperwork as far as your 128G and the CDC. You may have your discovery, your legal status summary sheet. You're going to be getting that when you see your counselor. But you don't have a 128G, but you have your police report, your discovery, shit like that. And this guy shoved his paperwork into my face and was like, here, this is what it's all about. But there was one key piece that was missing. And I didn't learn about that one until later. I get a kite, comes to the door, and of course you're up. When those lights go on and it's chow time and all that, you are up. You ain't going to be sleeping in your bunk. There ain't no one up, one down, depending on who's running the building. That's what it is. You got your mattresses rolled up. You're doing whatever it is that you're doing to pass the time to keep you from going insane. You get a knock at the door for one of the porters. Slide a kite under there. Here, this is for your cellie. And then handed it to that guy. The guy that had to go. So they slide it to me and I read it and I'm looking at it. Then I go back to the door. There's the man that's got the unit. I look over at him like that. He's like, yes, handle that business. This guy's got to go. So now you're obviously going to wonder what it is about this dude that's caught the attention of the entire unit. What could he have possibly done? Because I read his charges and they weren't sex related. So what could he have possibly done wrong? You don't send a kite back and say, "Oh, what did this guy do?" You don't do anything like that. You just nod like, "I got this handled." So I go back to the other side of the cell. Of course, you already have your shoes on and everything like that. And I'm thinking, what's the best approach? I'm not going to get this dude from behind. That's kind of a bitch move, unless, of course, that's how you got to get at them when they're out and moving around. Whether you get him on the track, whether you get him when he's sitting down eating, whatnot. A lot of people like to go that route for that shock and awe, for that, damn, what just hit me? But this guy right here, I just looked at him, he looked at me, and he already knew. He already knew. He's like, "That kite was about me. Oh, man, don't. And he just drops to the ground and balls up. So I'm just fucking tuning him up. I'm hitting him. He's crawling under the bunk, and I'm pulling him back out from under the bunk. He's not even putting up a fight, and he's screaming, he's crying, he's yelling. He's creating a huge scene, and I'm just pounding this dude in his ribs. Hit him in the balls. Stomped on his hand a few times and couldn't get his other arm out of his face. And it's ugly. It's usually that kind of, it's ugly like that, and especially if they don't fight back. It's even worse, man. It makes you feel like, damn, well, something has to happen. So I'm tuning him, he's yelling. Next thing you know, he managed to get to the door, and he grabs himself and he pulls himself from under and starts yelling under the door. Now remember, this is Wasco Reception on the D yard. There's nobody in that unit, really. You got a fucking CO in the tower, and you got one that sits in his office. But he heard the yelling, and everybody else heard the yelling as well. So I'm just punching on him, going to work on his ass. He's screaming through the door. Finally, a CO comes to the door, and you don't stop because they're there. You just keep going. But it was brutal because this guy didn't even fight back at all. And I'm going through this whole thing like, fuck, well, please. And in my mind now, I'm like, will you finally open this fucking door and in this shit, spray me, do what you got to do? So they open the door, they fucking spray me with that OC pepper spray and this shit right here. I got to tell you, when you get hit with it, you'll know. They drag his ass out, they cuff me up, they take me out. Time goes on, I'm in AdSeg. They were too late on delivering the 115 to me, so I got it dismissed and I got sent back to the unit. Several months later, some of the same people were in there, and I finally got a chance to ask, what was the big deal about this dude? What was so bad about him that he had to go? Because he didn't trigger a hard candy or a hard check or any kind of a zipper. They just wanted him beat up and taken out of there ASAP. What could he have done? It obviously wasn't something real bad, or else they'd have been having me stab this guy. So I finally find out what it's all about. Turns out this dude's a coward. I mean, I could have told you that, and from what I just told you as far as the story is concerned, I'm pretty sure you already knew the guy was a coward. So this dude was supposed to take off on one of his cellies in another spot, because his cellie had some real dirt on him. But he didn't want to do it. He was scared. Couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag. And mind you, this fool's from a neighborhood. This fool got jumped into whatever neighborhood he's from. I'm not going to go ahead and put it out there. But you know what I'm saying. He was with that life, but yet too scared to fight. It happens like that. Just because you're from a gang or something like that don't mean you know how to fight. Don't mean you know how to do anything at all. So that was the reason why he had to go. And that was the reason why he just balled up and hit the ground. He knew it was coming. I don't know why he didn't go S&Y, but he went S&Y after that. Yeah, the moral of the story is you could get got for any reason. Any reason. You catch their attention, you get on their radar, you get on their bad side, whoever's running shit. That could be your ass. And if you're told to do something, like getting rid of your cellie because he's a chomo or he's a rat, or in this case, he's too scared to fight, then he's just got to go, man. You can't question it. You can't ask. Now, if I would have been one of them kind of curious George types to where I sent word back down, what did he do? You want to know what they would tell me? Just shut the fuck up and handle that business. That would have put me in hot water. That would have made people question me. It's one of those things, whether you're into all that kind of shit or not, doesn't really matter. If one of those situations presents themselves to you, you have to handle it. You don't want to be the next guy that looks weak, because then you don't know how the next one who's got the building is going to handle you. It's one of those things. One of the million plus reasons, the infinite number of reasons why going to prison is not always such a good idea. As a matter of fact, it's probably never a good idea. But yeah, a lot of people will say, well, in this day and age, all I got to do is go to the S&Y yard or something like that. Well, the S&Y yard is just a prison yard in itself as well. And if you're weak in a location like that, which there already is a lot of weak people over there, but if you're weak, there's a lot of predators over there as well. They're going to pick up on that energy and they're going to just use you up. Going to prison in general is filled with these kind of uncertainties. These kind of situations and circumstances, I mean, it could be so small that you bump into somebody. You could have all been moving like fucking a herd of cattle back into the unit or into the chow hall or whatever. You could have bumped into somebody, turned around and noticed that you bumped into him and just went right back into your conversation with your boy and didn't even say nothing. That could be enough for you to get hit by whoever that guy is, especially if he's from another car. This is one of them things, man. Just wanted to share with you. I got a million of these kind of situations. I've had to fight a couple of my cellies. One of them was on hot meds. Story for another time. But yeah, this guy, I'll never forget the look on his face. When I turned around, when he's standing there after I read the kite, and he knew, he could feel the energy. He delivered his own fucking ass whooping through the door. When he had that kite in his hand, and he handed it to me, he delivered his own ass whooping. And it's happened like that a few times. But yeah, moral of the story is, you can get smashed for anything. And if you're told to do something because the opportunity has presented itself to you, and nobody else can get to somebody, but you're the only person that can get to this person, you better handle that business. Simple as that. You already know what it is. You heard it right here. Prison Break raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, non sugarcoat, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality. And I'm out.